Hey guys, Mark with Magazine Collector here, coming back at you with another virtual unboxing video. I've kind of had a steady stream of submissions going to CGC here the last couple months, so getting a few back, and just got alerted that I have one being shipped to me today, so I wanted to go ahead and take a look at some grades there. This is just a standard submission. Um, we'll have ten issues here, and on this submission, for some timing, it took me 11 days after CGC physically received this package to when it was marked as received in my account, and it took 44 days after that to be graded. So by the time you factor in the mail time and everything, will be about 60 days door to door. That's just a little bit of an uptick from where I've been in the past. I've been about 55 here recently, so up to 60 days now. Still not too bad. So probably just count on a couple months when you send stuff in at this point. It's about pretty typical for me. Um, Kind of some of what we're going to be looking at today. There's a little bit of Sports Illustrated. There is a SI China. So that's a little bit of a one-off. I believe there's a couple Time magazines. We'll see what else interesting we can find here. Got one pretty big issue in this submission. We'll see what kind of grade we get on that, but I'll show you that when we get that far. Yeah, without further ado, let's get this party started. Again, I'll go ahead and plug in issue number 1 here. 9.0. Okay, so this is July 7th, 1986, Sports Illustrated. This is Diego Maradona, first Sports Illustrated. This is a subscription copy. I don't normally submit a lot of subscription copies unless it's a super valuable issue or if I think it's going to get a pretty high grade, and that was the case with this one. I thought by looking at it, it had a shot to do pretty well, and it did. I'll take a 9 on that. And here's this. This is, yeah, like I said, the first Diego Maradona Sports Illustrated. I believe maybe the only one that he was ever on the cover of. One of the greatest soccer players in history. So if we take a look at this, so I also did a label removal on this, and it came out very clean. I don't even know if you can see it in the pictures. Honestly, I don't even remember where it was on this issue. I'll probably have to look at it in some different light when I get it back, but typically you're going to be right up here or right in this area. And the label removal came out very clean, very nice. So there you can kind of see that. They do note that in the text on your submission screen here, and also on the top of the slab itself, subscription label removed. So let's look at the grader notes here. We had some spine stress lines, and then we had light creasing on the cover breaks color. Again, this is pretty. I'll take a 9.0 for this issue. Boy, I don't see a lot of spine stress lines. Maybe one there. And then some creases on the cover that break color. Possibly here. Yeah, but otherwise that looks awful clean. Let's take a look at the back. There's a couple little spine stress lines. And some more there. But all in all, I think that that's a pretty nice copy. So I have not come across this one yet in a newsstand, one that I picked up. So like I said, I picked up this subscription copy that looked awful clean, had a label on it previously. I removed the label, and it turned out pretty nice here. let's take a look at the census, and this is only going to be for subscription issues. So I had a 9.0. Looks like 9.0 is top pop, so I'll take that. There is one other 9.0. Mine hasn't been updated on here yet. So there'll be two 9.0s, so with a total of 28 graded. Just because I'm curious, I want to see what the newsstand copy of this looks like as far as the census. So let me look. All right, Sports Illustrated. And that was July 7th, 1986. There we go. First Diego Maradona. Okay. All right, so in newsstand, there's actually a couple higher graded ones. There's a couple 9.4s, there's a couple 9.2s, and 3 9.0s with total 23 graded. Okay. All right. Well, that is a good start. Let's move on here. Okay. Let's go to number 2. Just to back up one step, as far as sales on this one, there have been no sales for subscription issues that I could find. So just a FYI there. All right, let's go to number 2. Okay, 9.4. This is April 27th, 1998, Sports Illustrated. This, of course, is the Kobe Bryant first cover. Also has Magic Johnson on the cover. 9.4. Normally I would be happy with that. I thought this one had a chance to do a little bit better than that, so I'm curious to see what they found for defects on this one. I thought this issue was awful clean when I submitted it. So light spine stress lines, and then a light crease left bottom of back cover. Left bottom of back cover. Let's take a look at that. May not be able to see it. They specifically noted it was a light crease. Yeah, and I don't see it. I guess, yeah, you can see some light stress marks on the back, spine stress lines. And then here's the front. Very clean. There is maybe one spine stress line there. All right. Yeah, all in all, pretty nice copy of the Kobe first cover in 9.4. So let's bring up the census. Pretty highly submitted issue. This one is, as you can see here, there's 104 total submitted, with 30 of those being 9.8s and then 27 9.6s. So there's a lot of these out there, but they still do hold their value. This is one that sometimes shows up on my top sales of the month spreadsheet, so I'm just curious. Let's bring that up quick. April 27th, 98. Let's look at some of the sales on here. There's a few on here. So here you can kind of see a 9.6 sold for $888, 9.6 sold for $703, and 9.8 about $1,000. So there you can see what some of those have been doing recently. Yeah, I was hoping for the 9.6 on this submission, but got a 9.4, so we will keep trying. All right. Let's move on. Number 3. Ooh. Okay. This is Sports Illustrated China, March 4th, 2011. Kind of a unique cover. It's got Kobe on the cover with a 9.4 grade. So that's, I think you've heard me talk before. Sports Illustrated China are not easy issues to clean and press. They don't press out very well. So sometimes hard to get good grades on some of these SI Chinas. And this one pulled the 9.4. I will take that for sure. Like I said, kind of a unique cover. I don't think that this cover exists in the US version. It may be something similar to this if I remember, but I think this one's a little unique to China, SI China. The only greater notes on this one is some spine stress lines. There you can kind of see one there. So I feel like that there is something, if that was on a US version of Sports Illustrated, I could press that out of there. And then some of these other imperfections here too. But this SI China, just, they do not press well. A little bit of a corner ding. I'm surprised they didn't note that in the grader's notes. But all in all, that's a pretty clean copy of that. Yep. Very cool. Yeah, here a while back I had the opportunity to pick up a few SI Chinas. There were some Kobe's, there were a couple other ones in the mix that you'll see kind of in future videos. Picked up the whole lot and slowly kind of cleaning them up and submitting some of them. And this is definitely the highest grade I've gotten back on an SI China to this point. So 9.4 on the Kobe. There does not appear to be a census available, which means that this issue has not been graded before. So give it a little bit, and then once mine makes the census, then there'll be a census here to click on. But at this point, it says not available. So pretty confident in saying mine is going to be the first one here. All right. Let's move on to number 4. That is not a good grade. Time, September 20th, 1999. This is the Harry Potter cover. Very first appearance of Harry Potter. Let me take a look at this one. Okay. So I've got multiple copies of this Harry Potter cover, and this one, now that I see which one this is the rough one that I had, so that 5 doesn't surprise me. Yeah, stress lines all over this guy here. Some wear on that cover, so yep, not a, sorry about that, a good copy. Still cool. This is an issue that when I see it, I try to pick it up. I think it's cool. Harry Potter is super popular. My kids all like Harry Potter. My wife likes Harry Potter. So I love this magazine. I think it's kind of neat. Kind of curious how they labeled this. So they do say first Harry Potter themed cover in title. Okay. So yeah, this is a cheaper copy that I picked up quite a while ago. Went ahead and submitted it and got the 5, which isn't great, but this isn't a magazine that there's a ton of out there. It's kind of a hard one to find. So, and you can kind of see that reflected in the census here. If we open the census, there is one 9.6, there's a 9.4, there's a 6.5, and then there is my 5.0, I think this one was. So I believe I've got 2 other copies of this currently with CGC right now to be graded. So hopefully I'll be getting something better than this 5 back. Again, I think this was the rough version of it that I had. So, but still a neat looking cover. There was one sale of this that I could find. It was a 9.4, sold for $297. All right, let's go to number 5. Ah, so close. Okay, November 2024, Sports Illustrated. Victor Wembanyama. This is his first professional cover. Got the 9.6, the dreaded 9.6. The note, small, multiple bend, left bottom of front cover. Left bottom. I guess it's this right here that it's noting that kept me from a 9.8. Otherwise, that is pretty clean. Shoot. All right, let's look at the census on this guy. There are 6 9.8s and 12 9.6s. When I was doing a little bit of pre-work on this one, I did not find any 9.8s that had sold. So I don't know the value of that, which kind of surprises me with 6 of them being graded. I did not find any that had sold. It's not a super valuable issue. There are multiple 9.6 listed for sale under $100 on eBay right now. So, yeah, this 9.6, I'd put it right at the $100 mark, which is where quite a few of them online are listed. All right, first Victor Wembanyama professional cover. All right, let's go number 6. Okay, this is Sports Illustrated, October 12th, 1981. This is, of course, Wayne Gretzky's first cover. This is a newsstand edition. 4.0, CGC 4.0 is what I got on it. This was a rough copy of this that I had that I submitted. This is one of those issues that if you have a newsstand of it, you should get it graded. Whether it's in rough shape like this one is, or whether it's in a lot better condition. So this is a valuable issue. Yeah, 4.0. So some of the notes on this guy: wear on all the edges, creasing and tears, heavy staple tears. And I was aware of that going into it. My main concern with this guy was that the cover did not become detached during them grading it or shipping or similar, because like it does mention here heavy staple tears. So the cover shifts just a little bit, but it was still connected when I submitted it, and it seems like it still is. So there's a kind of a blown up view of this one. I think that still looks pretty good for a 4. I think most of the problem or deduction in grade on this one was the wear on the edges and then the staple tearing. So, which looking at it from the front and how you would display it, it still displays pretty well. The cover is actually in pretty decent condition. So, and again, it's a newsstand edition, so lots of people looking for this cover. There's the back cover, and you can see the back is pretty good condition too. There is some staining on it. But if we kind of zoom in around the front, this is one issue that fools a lot of people, either when they go to buy it or when they're selling it, whether it's a newsstand or a subscription issue. The biggest way to tell, and CGC has even been fooled multiple times too. I've seen CGC, what they call newsstand versions of this, and there is a glue line on there. One of the big things I look for is right in this white area right here. Usually on the subscription editions, you can see a little discoloration right in this area, and that tells you that there was a glue line there, and that was a subscription edition. So be really careful when you're buying this. A lot of people list it incorrectly. Most of them probably don't even know, but I've bought this a couple times. It kind of sold as a newsstand, and it comes and it has a glue line on it. So I've gotten a little better at looking at these now and finding the ones that do not. So yeah, there is the Gretzky newsstand first cover. Some sales on this one. So since this is a 4.0, it's not going to be super valuable. There was recently a 5.5 that sold for $212. And then this is also one that frequents my list of high sales. So let's look, October 12th of 81. And again, this spreadsheet is available to anybody that wants to access it. I'm constantly updating it. The link is published in some of the different Facebook groups. So if anybody would like access to that, let me know. Okay, so here, October 12th, 1981. So 3.5 recently sold for $350. 7.0, $650. And up from there. So you have an 8.5, a couple different 8.5s sold a few months apart for quite a bit different money. And the 7.0 sold for $750. All right. That is the Gretzky first cover newsstand. Let's look at the census on this while we're here. So I had a 4.0, one of the lower pop ones here, one of the bottom grades. There is one 9.8 of this guy. That's going to be a valuable issue if that ever comes up for sale. No 9.6s, some 9.4s, some 9.2s, and some 9s, and then quite a few in that mid-range between 8.5 and 6, so quite a few in that area. This one, from the different ones that I've seen, is pretty condition sensitive around the staples as well. I've seen a lot of copies of this that has problems with the cover kind of pulling loose, similar to what they noted mine for here. So another thing to kind of keep a lookout on if you're purchasing this issue. All right, a few more to go here. Let's go to number 7. Okay, number 7 is September 7th, 2009, Sports Illustrated, Aaron Rodgers cover. This is one you've seen in a few of my submission videos, I think, because it's either the 3rd or 4th copy of this that I've gotten graded. This is a variant cover. There were 4 different covers at the time this week that were released. I know Aaron Rodgers was one, Ben Roethlisberger was one. The other 2 are escaping me, but yeah, this is Aaron Rodgers' first cover. Got a 9.4. The only grader notes listed was some spine stress lines. Let's pull that up. There you can see a line. All in all, pretty clean issue here. Got some nasty glare there in the picture, so I'm not able to see kind of the back of the spine, but yeah, pretty decent copy of that. I was hoping for a little better than 9.4 on that one, but it is what it is. Let's take a look at the census. So top pop for this guy is 9.6, and there's 4 of those, and now 3 9.4s. All right. Let's see. Do I have any recent sales on this one? A 9.6 sold for $325, and an 8.5 sold for $190. The Aaron Rodgers first cover. And I think I've said it before, and I'll say it again. He is definitely not at the top of his value right now. With everything Aaron Rodgers has going on, I think give him a few years and some of his value will start to come back again. I think when it's all said and done, he's going to go down as one of the top quarterbacks in NFL history. So right now, he is definitely not the height of his value, though. All right. Couple left here. Let's move on to the next one, number 8. 8.5. Shoot. This is this can be a super valuable issue. This is November 22nd, 1999 Time. This is the Pokemon cover. This is kind of the big one I had talked about at the beginning of this video that had the potential to be somewhat valuable. There are not a lot of these out there. There's not a ton of them graded, as you can see here. And some of the higher graded ones really do have some good value to them. Got an 8.5 due to spine stress lines and a light creased right bottom of front cover. Right bottom. Oh, you can kind of see that right here. Not sure if you guys can see it or not, but there is a small crease there that kind of does break color. Let's take a look at those stress lines. God, they're pretty minimal, although there's a couple little spots at the top that don't look perfect. Yeah, those, I don't see a ton of spine stress lines on that guy. All right. Yeah, this is one of those covers, like I said, that there's not a ton of them out there. They're kind of few and far between, and they do have pretty decent value to them. So let's take a look at the census here. I had an 8.5, so now there will be two 8.5s, and there is one 9.0 and there is one 9.4, with a couple below that still. Total of 8, now 9 graded. As far as valuation on these, so a 7 recently sold for $597, 6 sold for $150, and I've got two different sales of a 9.4, and in seeing there's only one in the census, this must have been the same magazine selling twice. One of them was 2501 and one of them was 2769. So that's why I was saying those higher graded ones of this, that 9.4 sold for over $2,500 twice. So it's an issue to be on the lookout for, guys. If you find it in pretty decent shape, maybe worth picking up. So let's take a quick look at my sales spreadsheet, see if it shows up in here at all time. I believe that was 99. Yeah, November 22nd, 1999. Okay, so they're the two sales that I'd spoken of. 2769, 2501, both sold on Golden a few months apart, and it must have been that same 9.4 each time. So, okay, cool. Not sure what I'm going to do with this guy. I like that one. I'm not sure if that's one I will keep or if we will try to offload it. We will see what happens there. But yeah, that's the one that I was talking that has the potential to be pretty valuable. Okay, let's move on quick. Number 9, couple more left here quick. Okay, this is kind of a unique one. This is Club Nintendo from February 2002. This is the Mexican edition. And the reason I picked this up and the reason I got it graded is just because of who's on the cover. It's Kobe Bryant on the cover. I like some of these crossover magazines, like Nintendo does a good job of it, and there's some other ones. Time obviously has a lot of athletes on it, but Nintendo, like in this case, Club Nintendo and Nintendo Power does a good job of it. They put athletes on the covers, and if you can find the newsstand copies of those, they're pretty rare, hard to come by, and that's why I submitted this one. I knew sending it in it was not going to be a high grade, and it's not. It's a 5.0, but I still think it's really cool. Some of the grader notes, so we had finger bends, of course, spine stress lines, and then moderate scuffing and creasing on the cover. Let's take a look at this guy. So there it is, kind of a zoomed out view. I think that's cool. It's a cool cover. And again, some of these crossover ones that kind of blend Nintendo with different athletes and stuff, I think are just neat. Especially these earlier ones. This is from 2002. And this is not a common issue that you find just too often, but found it, picked it up, and got it submitted here. Got a 5.0 on it. Kind of an interesting back cover too, something a little different. And this one also says the census is not available, which means this is the first copy of it graded. This will be the only copy of this graded. So, yeah, 5.0 on the Kobe Nintendo Club Mexican Edition. Let's just check out the label real quick. Club Nintendo verse V11, number 2, Mexican Edition, Kobe Bryant cover. Okay, so pretty nondescript, but yeah, kind of neat. Okay, let's move on. Number 10, last one here. God, 9.6s are frustrating. Okay, this is Newsweek Japan, October 12th, 2021. This is the Shohei Ohtani Newsweek Japan cover. 9.6. With, of course, the dreaded spine stress lines as the only fault. There is that cover. I've said in a couple of my previous videos, I'm kind of starting to get more into these Japanese magazines. I like the Japanese text, just kind of the look of it. Even some people may, I have no idea what it says. I just think it's kind of neat looking. And of course, you can't get hotter than Shohei Ohtani right now. So kind of a good combination. I love that cover. And of course, on the Japanese magazines, the spine is on the right side. So let's, I guess right there is a spine stress line, and right there. So those 2, 3 are probably what took me from a 9.8 to a 9.6. That is still a cool magazine. 9.6 on the Japanese Newsweek Shohei from 21. And once again, the census is not showing, so this is the only copy of this guy graded. All right, well, that is the 10 issues for today, guys. Thanks for sticking with me here. Some a little bit different stuff. I think I had 3 of them in there that it was the only one in the census, so that's when you know you have something a little bit unique, or maybe it's just stuff that nobody else is interested in. But I'd like to say it's some kind of different stuff. Yeah, I guess probably my favorite one there is the Pokemon, the Time Pokemon. Wish it was a little bit higher grade on that guy, but still very cool, very valuable. And then of course we had the Wayne Gretzky first cover. It's lower grade, 4.0, but still neat, still neat. All right, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for sticking with me, and we will catch you next time. Have a good one. See ya.